For months, the notion of Dean Ambrose returning to WWE was nothing more than a ghost story whispered in the backs of locker rooms and the dim corners of internet forums, a fantasy born out of nostalgia and wishful thinking. No one dared believe it, not after Jon Moxley scorched every contract bridge and buried the name Dean Ambrose beneath the rubble of gas masks, bad promos, and creative suffocation. Not after he walked away in 2019 from WrestleMania main events, guaranteed paydays, and the glitz of the WWE machine to bleed on indie floors and Raw through AEW, carving out a legacy unshackled by the corporate script. But on a night that began like any other Friday night Smackdown, when Seth Rollins stood center ring flanked by Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, and the smug presence of Paul Heyman, mocking Roman Reigns and crowning himself the new messiah of WWE, the unimaginable happened. With no fanfare, no promos, no theme music, only a flicker in the lights and a gasp from the crowd, Ambrose returned. A hooded figure vaulted the barricade, slid into the ring, and with merciless precision drove Seth into the mat with a savage Dirty Deeds DDT. No pose, no pause, no promo. Just violence, pure, personal, and surgical. It wasn't announced, wasn't teased. Even the production crew had no cue. The screen cut to black. Twitter ignited. And by morning, every corner of the wrestling world had only one question. What just happened? Backstage chaos erupted. Security scrambled through camera footage, producers ripped up run sheets, and talent in guerrilla position whispered in disbelief. This wasn't part of the show. Not entirely. Multiple sources confirmed the return was orchestrated in secret by Triple H and a tight circle of agents, excluding even Heyman. Reports suggest not even Seth Rollins was fully informed. He expected an angle, not an unannounced DDT on live television. But to understand why this moment shattered the internet and shook WWE to its foundation, you have to rewind the clock. You have to go back to when Dean Ambrose walked away and Jon Moxley emerged. When he torched the gimmicks, rejected the scripts, and found rebirth in AEW. For him, returning to WWE couldn't be about money. It had to be personal. And the trigger. Seth Rollins, now reinvented as a neon-coated prophet of chaos, mocking the bloodline, aligning with Heyman, the very man who exploited Roman Reigns' downfall. That might have been the final straw. Negotiations reportedly began not with Moxley, but through Renee Paquette and intermediaries. WWE didn't want Jon Moxley. They wanted Ambrose. But not the old one. Not the company-friendly lunatic. They wanted the ghost. And that's what they got. Ambrose's return was not a re-entry. It was a declaration of war, on Seth Rollins, on the system that failed him, and on the broken brotherhood once called the Shield. And Roman. That's where it gets darker. Because as Ambrose struck, a single moment flashed across screens. Roman Reigns backstage, unscheduled, unspeaking, looking straight into the camera as if he'd been waiting for this. Was it approval? Was it recognition? Was it collusion? The Shield was not just a faction. It was a family, one forged in chaos and betrayal. But the bond had long since splintered. Seth betrayed Roman at Money in the Bank 2025, turning on the bloodline, laughing as Roman collapsed backstage. He joined Heyman. He crowned himself the future. And now, that betrayal had returned in the form of Ambrose's fist. Some believe this isn't just about Ambrose. It's about reckoning. About the final collapse of everything the Shield once stood for. Others say it's something more coordinated, something darker. Ambrose may not be alone. Fans are circulating blurry images, Easter eggs, cryptic messages suggesting this is just the beginning of a deeper, multi-layered story. One viral clip shows a figure in Shield gear at Backlash 2025 watching Rollins from the catwalk. Another captured a MIC picking up a whisper off-screen on Raw. 3 can destroy more than one ever could. And now, theories swirl about what comes next. Is Ambrose forming a new alliance with Roman Reigns and a cast-out Jey Uso? Is he building a faction not based on brotherhood, but revenge? Could we be witnessing the rise of a new force? One fan dubbed it the Reckoning, designed solely to destroy Seth Rollins? Survivor Series rumors are growing louder. A triple threat between Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose, not just as a match, but a multi-month narrative arc stretching through Royal Rumble and into WrestleMania. WWE Creative is allegedly in turmoil. CM Punk's planned post-SummerSlam feud with Rollins is reportedly paused. Cody Rhodes' storyline with Solo Sikoa is being adjusted. The return of Ambrose has upended everything. And behind the curtain, Heyman is reportedly livid. He's orchestrating retaliation. Reed and Breakker are on standby. Seth is silent. Not in character. In reality. No tweets. No interviews. Just pacing, demanding to know who approved the attack, and why he wasn't warned. SummerSlam looms. Originally built around title defenses, it now feels like a battlefield. Rollins is paranoid. Reigns is silent. Ambrose is untraceable. Until he isn't. Reports suggest he may appear again at WWE Payback, but insiders warn that nothing is locked. Because Ambrose doesn't follow scripts. He rewrites them. He's been seen communicating only with Triple H, refusing rehearsals, ignoring creative, keeping his locker room closed. A ghost stalking WWE's halls. Meanwhile, AEW is in crisis. Internal discussions are underway. Did Moxley breach his contract? Was this coordinated? Did Tony Khan greenlight it? One faction within AEW believes this is a test, a strategic cross-brand move to re-energize fanbases. Another says this was Moxley acting alone, sending a message. That message? Moxley doesn't jump ship. He burns it. The line between work and shoot has never been thinner. But make no mistake, this isn't just about wrestling. This is about identity. About who controls the narrative. And as Roman Reigns prepares to return, possibly as early as next week's Smackdown, he's not walking into a storyline. He's walking into a war. And here's the final twist. At SummerSlam, when Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns stood across from one another, it wasn't a Shield reunion. It was a funeral. The lights flickered again. And then, a masked figure appeared on the ramp. No music. No nameplate. No explanation. Just a slow walk, a silence that devoured the arena. When he removed the mask, the voice that echoed from the commentary booth called him Tyler Black, Seth Rollins past resurrected. The man before the Shield. Before the suits. Before the betrayal. And as the chaos erupted, with Ambrose hitting dirty deeds, Roman following with a spear, and Black delivering a curb stomp on steel, Seth Rollins lay broken at the feet of the men who knew him best and hated him most. There were no closing words. No celebration. No unity. They walked off in 3 different directions. Because this isn't a faction. It's a reckoning. The Shield is not back. It's in ruins. And from those ruins, something darker is rising. Pay attention. This is just the beginning. For nearly a year, it was little more than a ghost story, a lingering murmur drifting through the back alleys of WWE locker rooms and whispered among the die-hard faithful who never stopped believing. The idea of Dean Ambrose coming back to WWE was dismissed as a fever dream, a fantasy clung to by jaded fans and nostalgic veterans who couldn't let go of the brotherhood that once changed the course of wrestling history.